Hello and welcome to episode 237 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is July 1st, 2024. Today I'm wearing two pieces that are not very new but not too old. So my sleeves was knit in 2020 and the pullover I knit in 2019. They are both knit out of a sock yarn by MKal which is made of part wool, part cotton and part nylon. And the sleeves, the mini tiny cardigan, is a pattern by Martina Behm and it's called Sleeves, as it is mostly sleeves and a little bit of a back. And it's one of her patterns. I think she mainly designs like shawls and accessories, but sometimes she designs clothes. And I think this is the first pattern that is not a shawl that I knit, or not a hat or a loop or something like that. So like a garment that I knit from her. And this is a pattern that you can customize. So you start with one sleeve, then you knit the other sleeve, and you can decide how wide and how long you want the sleeve to be. And then you put the two sleeves together and you create the back and you finish the little mini cardigan. I used different color ways of the cotton MKal sock yarn, and these are all leftover yarns. And if you look at this colorway here, this one, this is the leftover yarn of this pullover. And it's quite funny to see how different the colors look when you knit them in garter stitch or in stockinette stitch. But because I've used part of that yarn in here, I feel I should wear them together every now and then. I think with this colorway I knit socks that I gave away, so I can't wear those together. And this colorway is a leftover yarn from something my sister knit. And I'm not quite sure what I knit with these blue and grey yarns. So I don't know. Either the grey yarn could be leftover yarn from my sister, but I don't really remember what I did with the blue one. That's interesting. Anyway, so this is the sleeves, and I mainly knit it because sometimes in summer when it's really warm and I wear something sleeveless, I still tend to get cold upper arms. And even with this t-shirt, it only covers part of my upper arm. So I like to wear this on top just to get this bit a bit warmer, and especially when I ride my bike, because of the wind, sometimes I get cold upper arms, and then I can wear this on top of whatever I'm wearing, and it just keeps this bit warm and it doesn't slide off my shoulders. And even if it did, it can't really slide anywhere because I'm holding onto the bike. So I thought that was a really good idea. I don't actually wear it that often, but one way I like to wear it, sometimes I just wear it around my neck as if it was a little shawlette or something. And then what I can do is I can put one sleeve inside the other sleeve, and that makes it really sit tightly. So like this, and then it's not going anywhere. And so that's one way of wearing this sleeves that I really like. Yeah, and the t-shirt I'm wearing is just a very simple top-down raglan pullover. I think the pattern is from one of the Knit the Cat magazines, which is why the increases are slightly different from the way I usually do them. Otherwise, I think I just took the number of stitches to start and the way to increase, and then the rest I just tried it on and I knit it the size I wanted it. It's a bit tighter than I usually like to wear my pullovers, but I think it's okay. It's not too tight, and on the whole I'm really happy with it. Sometimes I find it difficult to find the right moment to wear something that's part wool and part cotton. So it's not really warm enough when it's cold, but it can easily get too warm if it gets too warm. But a day like today, it's a summer day, but it's fairly cold for summer, that's a perfect time to be wearing this t-shirt. And I have a new colorway, which is not cotton, but it's part wool and part bamboo. What's it called when you have a bamboo yarn? Viscose. It's a bamboo viscose and then some nylon. It's also an opal yarn. And my sister and I are planning to knit pullovers out of that yarn into different colorways. And there I've decided to do long sleeves again, but we are going to put a lace pattern into the sleeves so that it's still a bit more of a summery garment and not so much a warm pullover. So looking forward to starting that soon, I hope. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Then on to finished objects. I have again a very small finished object, or I should say 3 finished objects. And it's the little, not wristlet, what's that called? Can't remember what they are called at the moment. But I showed the first 2. I showed you, I think, these 2 last week. And then I knit this one. So I used single color opal sock yarn, and I use these beads that are a bit wider than normal, so they have the hole in the middle of the bead and then they're a bit wider, and I make sure to have the bead set outside of the knitting, which means there's no bead at all on the inside. You could put the bead, you could turn it a little bit. It probably doesn't work with the little, there's a little, I can't think of words today. When you cross the stitches, it's a little cable. So this is a little cable here, and I probably can't turn the bead on that stitch. But with the other stitches, what I could do is I could turn it like this, so it looks a bit smaller, but then it also shows on the back of the knitting like this. But it just doesn't really want to stay like this, so I probably leave them like that. Yeah, so it's another little cable pattern. This is the bracelet. I think bracelet is the word I was looking for, with the most beads. And yeah, this has another nice, a fairly similar cable pattern, but fewer beads. And then this is the really small cable pattern, and even fewer beads and fewer stitches. I knit those as a test knit for Tanya Manz. She's the designer who designed these bracelets, and I knit the first one with a 2.5 millimeter needle, which was, I think this was the 2.5 millimeter needle, this was the 3.0 millimeter needle, and this was a 2.75 millimeter needle. So I used different needle sizes just to see what the result would be. My gauge was, with the bigger needles, it was a bit too wide where the stitches were concerned, but they were always too short where the rows were concerned. But it's a very simple project, and the size doesn't really matter too much. So whether they are a bit wider or smaller is not a big problem, and the length you can just knit so that the bracelet fits you. So it's not a bit big. It's not difficult to just go for a different size. And then the bracelets are sewn together, and she shows you in a video how to sew them together with a, it's not a Kitchener stitch per se, because you're not using stitches. The way she writes the pattern, you cast on and you cast off, and then you sew it together. I did a mix. I cast on normally, and then I did not cast them off, but I sewed the live stitches to the normal cast on. So I do have a bit of a line here, but I think it's less of a line than if I had cast off the stitches. And I'm quite happy with how the seam looks on the outside. So this is what this looks like on the inside and on the outside. Yeah, so pattern is, it's called Drei Armbänder, which means 3 bracelets, by Tanya Manz. It's linked on my project page if you want to have a look at the pattern. It's available now, you can buy it, and you can knit yourself bracelets if you want to. So that's the only finished object for today, and I have one new cast on, so that matches. Today I have fewer projects than usual to show you because my week last week was really busy. I didn't get to knit on all my projects the way I usually do, but I think that's okay. I start with my socks as usual, and I did not knit on the 2 Worlds socks that I knit from the 3 Worlds pattern, but I knit on the Bigfoot sock, and I almost finished the second one. So I already put it on a sock blocker. So I started knitting the toe, but I ran out of yarn. I'd wound up some of the yarn because I had a fairly big ball of yarn. And when I think when I went on holiday with the first sock, I wound some off and it wasn't enough, so I couldn't continue knitting. And I'm knitting a different toe on this sock than on the first one. So this, I think, is what is called a traditional toe. So I have the decreases on the right and on the left side, whereas on the first sock I did the star toe, which has decreases on 8 different points. And the recipient said it was a bit too tight up here. So I'm hoping to get a different fit on the second one. And then if he's happy with that, I will change this one. Maybe I'll just finish this and change this one and let him try both on. Or maybe I'll let him try this one on. And then if he likes it, I'll change this one. And if he's not happy with that on, I could do an even different toe. So we'll see what I do. But almost finished the second sock, and yeah, really happy with that. So that's it for socks at the moment. So I only have 2 pairs of socks on the needle, and I didn't even knit on one of them. But I started a new project, small project out of sock yarn. So I'm showing you my new project here, and that's the pattern that I'm knitting in the current pattern battle, which is something that takes place over in the Opal Abo group on Ravelry. So with the Opal Abo, the Opal subscription, we get 6 surprise colorways of Opal yarn 4 times a year. And then out of those, 1 is chosen for the pattern battle, and everybody who takes part has to knit with this colorway, but you have to knit a different pattern than everybody else. So this is the colorway we're using. And I chose to knit the Slippery Cowl by Stephanie Lotven, who's also known as Telly B Knits, out of her beautiful book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. And this is the cowl I'm knitting. And this is very colorful because her yarn had like all the colors, but you can maybe see that it has a slip stitch pattern, and it's knit in 3 parts. So you never have too many stitches on the needle, so the stripes come out differently. So you start with the middle part, and then you knit the 2 side parts, and then they are, I think, knit together. And I started knitting this middle bit, and this is what it looks like for me with the not so many colors, but you can see the stripes very clearly, and sometimes the slip stitches are like in the contrast color, and sometimes you have the same color slip stitches as the background, but it keeps changing, and I think it looks quite nice. And the stripes make the V shape of the knitting very clear. So now I have to knit this for quite a bit, and then I will pick up stitches on one side and knit sideways, do the same on the other side, and then the 2 pieces are joined in the back of the cowl. So this is my contribution to the pattern battle at the moment, and my new cast on for last week. Then we come to the garments already. I did not continue knitting on the Lanatus colorwork pullover that I'm knitting at the moment. A bit sad about that, but looking forward to picking that up at some point. I did add several rounds on the Mamaki dress, a pattern by Nicolor. Doesn't really show at all. It just got a bit longer, and this is probably going to happen for the next couple of weeks, that no matter how much I knit on it, it won't look a lot different. Yeah, so I just have to keep knitting. I have to keep trying it on to decide how to shape the increases. We'll see about that. I am what am I doing? The next garment, I did not knit on the skirt, the Evenstar skirt, so nothing happened there, but I continued knitting on this beautiful purple soft cardigan. And last week I had finished one sleeve and started the second sleeve, and I continued knitting the second sleeve until I ran out of yarn. So one ball is still there, but the other one was done. I've started the increases, so I'm almost finished. All I have to do is finish the decreases, knit a few rounds of ribbing, and then the cardigan will be done. So I will need a little bit of ball number 5. So I'll be using less than 5 balls of yarn for this cardigan with the yarn held double. So it's fairly light, but it's really soft, and it's probably quite warm as this is a pure alpaca yarn. I'm really looking forward to finishing this and wearing this, and then at some point starting the next one. Yeah, so that's that beautiful cardigan. I'm pretty sure it'll be a finished object next week. Then I'll show you the book again just to remind you what the original looked like, and where the pattern is from. So that is that. And then the smallest garment I am knitting at the moment is the flower t-shirt that I'm knitting as a dress, and the designer's name is Evelina Murach. I don't know how to pronounce that. And I was asked by several people how to get the pattern, and I realized that the pattern is at the moment not up on Ravelry for sale. The designer has made a note that she might bring it back at some point. If you are really interested in the pattern, why not write to the designer and ask for it? I think if enough people ask for the pattern, she might consider putting it back up or maybe reworking it or whatever. But right now it does not seem possible to get the pattern. I'm really sorry about that. I bought the pattern many years ago. As I said, I've knitted quite a few times in the past. So I really hope she brings it back. But she has quite a lot of other patterns for sale on her page. Maybe you'll find something else that you like. So this is where I'm at with the little baby dress. Last week I showed you the back. So this is the back with the slit up in the neck. And this is the front, which has the rounded neckline. And then I had the stitches both from the front and back, and then you knit short rows to form the sleeve, and then you add a bit of ribbing. I did that on both sides, especially with the first sleeve. When the first time you knit it and you still have 2 balls hanging off of your knitting, it's a bit fiddly, I would say. It's not too difficult, it's a bit fiddly, but once you finish the sleeve, it gets a bit easier. Now I get to knit the neckline. As soon as I've done that, I'll give it to my sister, and she is going to knit the front and back down. For a moment I thought I'd lost the stitches, but I just put some yarn in because I was on the train. I didn't have a needle with me, but that works as well. Yeah, so really happy with how this is coming along. I met the baby again yesterday, so I do hope the size is the right one, and I can't wait to give this to her parents and for her to wear it. It's another project I really hope to have finished next week. But that also depends on my sister, so we'll see about that. Then we come to the shawls. And as I said, this is probably going to be a shorter video, which is okay. Again, I did not knit on the Abloom Mystery Knit Along. I really wanted to do that, and I brought it with me when I went on a fairly long train ride. So I took the train to a place and back, and I thought I'll have lots of time to knit on the shawl. And so in the first train, or the second train, I don't know, but on the way, the first train ride, I took out the knitting. I wanted to start knitting, and I realized I didn't pack the beads or the crochet hook, so I couldn't knit on it. Too bad. Hope I'll get it done this week. But again, I kept knitting on the Goff's Place Mystery Knit Along. If you don't want to see it, don't look now. I didn't finish the part I wanted to finish. So this was clue 1, and this now is clue 2. And I had hoped to finish the stripy bit, but I didn't. So now you can see that the stripes aren't straight stripes, but they look like this. And I think I did more than half of the stripy bit, but I'm still quite a bit away from finishing it. I will try and show, can I see the decreases? Let's see, so there should be a corner here and one here. I no, I think it's, maybe you can see that this is going to form a square at some point. Yeah, but I have to continue knitting the stripes in this pattern, and then at some point I can start knitting the middle. We'll see about that. So not very confident I can finish it this week. I'm not showing it anymore, but I'll try and do as much as I can. Next week, I think we receive clue 3. Really looking forward to seeing where that takes us. But yeah, still enjoying the knitting of that. But it just takes a lot of time. Yep, that's it. And that already brings me to the 2 knit-alongs that I am doing on my channel. And I'll start with the hat I'm knitting. We are knitting haramaki and reversible hats. And I finished the first half of my reversible hat out of this. It's another colorway, yeah, that's it. And I started knitting the second colorway, which is out of the Beauty series by MKal, which means it has some vitamin E and some other stuff in the yarn that makes it a bit softer, which should really make it nice to wear as a hat. And I think last week I said it's going to get more colorful, but it doesn't really, because all the colors that are in here I think are already in the first half, and this is a bit less busy than the first half. So this is what the colorway looks like as a sock, and I changed the yarns here in the yellow stripe. So this is the new yarn, this is the old yarn. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the stripes come out with this many stitches, with this number of stitches, but I still enjoy knitting this a lot. And it's still one of the easy projects that I can just pull out, knit a few stitches. I don't have to look, I don't have to concentrate. And even though it's a bit bigger now, it's like a 2-board project now, it's still very easy to carry along and yeah, knit on it whenever I want to. So that's that. And then the second project is the spiral granny square crochet projects, and there I just finished knitting the first ball of the second square. And last week I told you that the feel of those 2 parts is very different, and on the German channel several people commented and asked me whether I used a different needle. But no, I did not use a different needle. I did not use a different needle size, and I know that if I use the same yarn and I knit or crochet at a different gauge, I know the difference in how that feels. So one will feel a bit looser and softer, and the other will be a bit stiffer, but the yarn itself will feel the same. And because I'm always using the pink crochet hook with this project, I definitely know that I use the same size crochet hook, and I actually use the same crochet hook, and the difference in feeling is really the material that feels different. And it is possible that I'm crocheting at a slightly different gauge because the yarn feels different and it's a bit stiffer. It's possible that I'm crocheting a little more loosely on this part than on this part, but I don't worry about that. Once I've washed and blocked this, the pieces will be the same size and hopefully feel a lot more similar, but we'll see about that. I've now finished this ball of yarn, and I can now decide whether to continue with this one with the next ball, or maybe I'll continue crocheting on this one because this is not big enough yet. Needs to be a little bigger to be comfortable as a top. And I have several summer tops that are fairly tight. I might make this quite a bit bigger than the other ones, just to have something that's very loose and very wide. That might be interesting. Yeah, still deciding, still thinking about it. Haven't got a fixed plan yet, but I will keep crocheting on this. And that was already everything that I knit and crocheted last week. Maybe next week I'll have more of my projects with me again, but we'll still see about that. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.